Hey, friends! Welcome back to Howl-O-Ween. Possession! It's 9/10 of the law, they say. But, well, that may work for property. But what happens when a person gets possessed? Now, usually the victim is possessed by a demon, or a ghost, or evil spirit, or something else altogether. Here I have a cross-section for you of perhaps lesser-known movies featuring possession. No, not dope. I mean being taken over by unseen forces. First up, we have Back from the Dead from 1957. Here, a chick is possessed by the ghost of her husband's ex-wife. And here he thought he was free from her nagging when she died. Anyway, the new wife is being possessed by the evil spirit of the dead wife, dabbles in murder, and is generally not nice. And so the new wife's sister, the husband, and the sister's new love interest have to try and figure out what to do. There's allusions to a devil cult that's involved, although that angle seems sort of shoehorned into things. Peggy Castle stars as the possessed sister. She was in a lot of stuff, such as the 1952 film Invasion USA and I, the Jury in 1953. She also had a recurring role for several seasons on a Western series called Lawman. Arthur Franz, he plays the husband. He was in the Caine Mutiny, among many other things. We last saw him in Flight to Mars. Don Haggerty and Marcia Hunt round things out. Hunt plays the crusading sister, Haggerty her new boyfriend. This one's okay. Not much to write home about, but there are a few scary scenes, especially when the possessed wife tries to kill her sister. So, possessed by a ghost. Eek. Next up, we have a more traditional form of possession in The Possessed, a TV movie from 1977. In this one, fires seem to spontaneously appear in a girls' private school. People are getting injured, and everyone is scared. Enter our hero, a former priest who hit the sacramental wine too often. Now he's on a mission to combat the powers of evil wherever they may be. He must use his faith against flames, as someone in the school is possessed by evil. And that's what's driving this whole thing. In our cast, we have James Ferrantino as the fallen preacher. I really liked him here. Joan Hackett plays the lady running the school. Her niece is played by Alan Dusenberry, a pretty familiar face in the 1970s. You'll recognize Eugene Roche, among tons of other things. He was in Soap and a movie I reviewed a little while back, The Late Show, starring Art Carney and Lily Tomlin. PJ Souls from Howl-O-Ween and Carrie is one of the kids at the school. And, well, there's this guy, too. I forget who he was. He did something else that came out the same time as this in May 1977. Some small little movie, I don't know. Anyway, here he plays a very popular teacher with the girls. Now, this one is very different. It's not what I expected and far more low-key than you'd think. It struck me as being a failed pilot for a proposed TV series. I don't know if that's the case, but if so, it makes you wonder, what if? Like with Baffled, the pilot for a Leonard Nimoy series, or Search for the Gods, both of which we reviewed. That was another failed pilot. We have a guy wandering around on a crusade, searching for stuff and thwarting evil. Watching this, I kept wondering what could have been. The Possessed was pretty solid overall, and I enjoyed it. Does our hero have powers? Well, sort of. They kind of keep that really vague, and I like that. The movie raises some interesting questions about the nature of evil, and the ending will keep you guessing. The movie is a bit slow maybe, but nonetheless, I recommend this one. Definitely different. It has style, and it was made with the kind of old-school sensibilities lacking in most movies today. So, Possession by a Demonic Force. Then we have The Stranger Within, another TV movie, this one from 1974. In this one, an artist discovers she is with child, but her husband, a college professor, has been given the old snip-snip to the undercarriage. This is because the wife had a rough pregnancy that went wrong, and trying to carry a child will be very dangerous for her, likely fatal. So the hubby thinks she's been fooling around, and she swears she hasn't been. Well, after a bunch of tests, she winds up carrying the baby, but she starts acting really weird and said the baby is guiding her actions. She becomes a voracious, almost frantic reader. She guzzles gallons of scalding hot coffee, eats weird food and lots of it, leaves a mess everywhere, and uses a salt shaker like it's going out of style. She heals rapidly and gets spacier and spacier. So what's going on? Under hypnosis, she reveals she's spacey because this baby is an alien. In our cast, we have Barbara Eden as the wife. Yeah, I still dream of Jeannie, you know it. Anyway, George Grizzard is her hubby. David Doyle from Charlie's Angels plays a friend of the husband who's an amateur hypnotist. He does the hypnotizing. Joyce Van Patten, sister of Dick Van Patten, plays a friend of the couple, and the couple's doctor is played by Nehemiah Persoff, a very familiar face and voice. The Stranger Within is kinda weird. A very different role for Barbara Eden, and you can see her trying to stretch in this one. They do a good job of keeping the mystery going, too. So this one is Possession by an extraterrestrial intelligence. That's right, spaceman from space. Okay, I may as well toss this one in. Now, in The Exorcist, Linda Blair's performance as a possessed child certainly turned heads. And that brings us to this movie, Repossessed, a comedy from 1990. Now, this stars the great Leslie Nielsen, so you know what you're in for. He made a slew of parody movies in the 90s that were kind of knockoffs of the Naked Gun Police Squad style of humor. You know, corny gags, sight gags, over-the-top stuff. Well, this is one of those, and it's not great. But I was laughing a lot of the time throughout anyway. This is a parody of The Exorcist, and Nielsen plays a priest who has to save an innocent woman from demonic possession. This culminates in a televised throwdown between good and evil on national television. We have some familiar faces too. Besides Leslie Nielsen, Linda Blair said making The Exorcist was very stressful for her, and when she was offered this project, she jumped at it. A chance to do a parody of The Exorcist was just what she wanted. Here, she was a child when she got possessed, and Leslie Nielsen exorcised the demon. Now, several years later, she is repossessed. She really throws herself into this role, too. Ned Beatty plays a knockoff of dishonored TV preacher Jim Baker. Lana Schwab plays his wife, a send-up of Tammy Faye Baker. Mean Gene and Jesse Ventura call the play-by-play during the battle for good and evil. Robert Fuller, who played Dr. Brackett on Emergency, plays a doctor named Hackett. You'll also recognize this guy, Jake Steinfeld, from Big Brother Jake, among many other things. Here he's a fitness coach. There's a cameo by fitness guru Jack LaLanne as well. So, Possession by parody. So as you can see, possession can come in many forms, not just the devilish kind, if you know what I mean. I hope you give some of these movies a try. I'll be back with more soon, as Howl-O-Ween continues.